Okay, so we are trying this again. Earlier today, I recorded this whole what sold video, but had some glitching. I'm trying a new software, and so there's a little bit, not just of a learning curve, but there was an actual glitch that made it not work. My name is Shannon. I'm a reseller here in Big Sky Country of Montana, and today's first what sold item from eBay is related to Montana. It's a vintage Glacier National Park souvenir mug, and we took an offer for $16 on this mug. It was kind of cool. I did get to spend a little bit of time in Glacier last week, and so the weather was wonderful, so it was really nice. We are actually not that far from Glacier at all, so that's kind of fun. Anyway, what I wanted to say at the beginning of this What Sold video, we're talking about the first week in July, and what I normally say at the end is that if you guys have any fun stories from the beginning of July, or just want to talk about how your sales have been going, are you on a self-imposed summer slowdown just by being busy with family and things like that, summer-related activities, if you found anything really cool, just in general, how your reselling business is doing, feel free to drop a comment down below. I usually say that at the end, but I decided to mix it up a little bit. Okay, so this was, like I said, $16 for that mug. And what was interesting was that July started off with quite a few mug sales. And it's not, like for us, mugs tend to pick up like around fall. Going into winter, they sell really well. And so to have like 4 or 5 mugs sell in like a couple days was very unusual. So the next mug that sold was this Kauai Coffee diner mug. Nice, I love a good diner mug. I actually had 2 of these, but for some reason we just had we just had one listed. We were probably going to sell it and then list the next one or something. But the buyer actually messaged me and asked if I had more than one, because they were looking for 3. And so I said, well, actually, I do have 2. So I got the quantity 2 added to that, and they bought both of them. They were super happy. So $30 for those 2 mugs. Next up is a vintage vest. So not quite summer related, but it was kind of interesting. And I'm going to show you the tag because this is a fun tag. How many of you remember this? The Banana Republic. Do you guys remember this label with the actual bananas on it? And this was made in the British Crown Colony of Hong Kong. Mr. Pish Posh found this when we were down in Missoula on a just out-of-town trip that we needed to take, and we, of course, hit some thrift stores. So he picked this up, and in the past, I've always sold things that have this label, like fine. It's not super sought after like a vintage LL Bean or something, but this, like, look at the style of it. That's just kind of classic, and that's the kind of thing people are looking for right now. So it went really quickly, and that one actually sold for $40. Next up is this coffee mug it was for Lavazza, and the maker of it was IPA. It was marked IPA Italy. And so any little mugs, usually they're espresso cups and saucers or something, is what I've sold before, is for this IPA Italy. I just always take a second look, or I look them up or whatever, and they generally do pretty well for us. Okay, next up was a dress. Now this is a good lesson. This dress was by Alfred Shaheen. And that's a good name in the Hawaiian clothing, Hawaiian dresses arena. So when I saw the name, I was super excited. I picked up this dress a while ago in Spokane, and we were again out of town. We went to Global Neighborhood Thrift. If you're familiar with Spokane thrift stores, it's a huge thrift store, and it has a nice vintage clothing section and vintage goods section. And so when I saw Alfred Shaheen, I was so excited. But what I failed to recognize was the fact that this is not a classic Hawaiian style. It's just basically a maxi dress, very mod, 60s, 70s. And so it was not exactly what the Alfred Shaheen collectors are looking for. So I should have priced it just as like a regular vintage maxi dress. So I started too high for sure. And when I finally got a $30 offer after many months, I was so excited and I said, yes, please, I will take your money. Okay, here is the first of a few things I noticed in my week that I was actually really good about thrifting it, listing it, and it's selling really quickly. There was a few items that happened like that this week, so that's always good. This was by the Royal Collection, just a little like dish, trinket dish, something. But it was commemorating the Golden Jubilee for Queen Elizabeth II. I'll show you this down here. We generally do okay. Let me find the thing where it says it on the side. To celebrate the Golden Jubilee. I picked this up for like $5 or something like that, and I sold it pretty quickly for $25. What I think I was starting to say was that we do pretty well with like anything coronation or commemorating the coronation, things like that seem to sell okay for us. You know, we're not finding a ton of it over here in Montana, but when we do, it sells. Okay, bark cloth. Now this, speaking of classic Hawaiian styles, this is a men's Hawaiian shirt. And I picked this up at a yard sale. It has no tag. It had no size tag. This could have just been something somebody made. But it was a kind of a classic Hawaiian tapa print. Tapa? Anyway, we just measured it, kind of said, you know what, it's probably a medium around that area, you know, and we put measurements down in the listing and stuck a price on it. And this is that bark cloth fabric, right? So if you see it, it's got that rough texture. This is what the back of the fabric looks like to kind of give you an idea. We sold it for $45, so that was a nice flip. Next up is some flatware, some teaspoons by Mikasa. The pattern is called Pinch. And some of them were new in their plastic sleeve still. The other spoon I'm sure was new, but had just lost the plastic sleeve. Sold those for $24. This was a little stitchery kit by Paragon Needlecraft. It was super cute. I had found two at the same time that kind of had a similar woodland type theme, but the other one sold faster. I think it had a chipmunk or something on it. This one got a lot of attention, but just nothing seriously happening. So I got a $15 offer and I just decided to take it. Up next is probably the cutest sale of the week. Let's see how we're doing. This is by Wrangler. It's a baby or toddler size shirt, extra small, which according to their website is like 0 to 2. Made in Bangladesh, probably like Y2K 90s type thing. And it just, you know, like there were no comps for a baby shirt like this. So I just kind of had to pull a price out of the air. You have this bull rider, you've got the Aztec print. Anyway, super cute. We ended up selling it for $38. Not bad for a little kid's shirt. And I don't do a lot of kids' clothing, as you probably know. Another super fun, super fast sale. These we sold for $21. They're Art Deco style glass sundae cups or sundae bowls. So they're divided. I'll give you the top-down view. They're divided, and you could put two different flavors of ice cream in there. They're, you know, like from the 30s. They'd be in like a Sunday shop or something. So I picked them up because they were just so fun and so cool. And then I was looking at comps, and I'm like, So I was so actually surprised to get the $21 offer pretty quickly. And I thought, you know what, I'm just taking it. We're going to move that on. Because I just could picture then this being something that I had for a long time. And so I was happy to have that sell pretty quickly. The next item is a Mr. Pish Posh item. He took a pretty serious offer on that one, $25. Again, something maybe had been listed for a bit. We got it at the bins, I think he said. And he probably he likes to start high and then just see what happens, right? I know nothing about it or the comps. Here's a piece of a table saw. Mr. Pishposh has done this a few times where he gets a vintage Craftsman table saw and parts it out. This one part sold for $16.99. Next up is a baseball cap. Just Toyota, nothing special. But it was in this blaze orange camo, and also it was a mossy oak pattern. So in really, really good condition. We sold that for $20. Here's another part to the Craftsman table saw. This is the rip fence, and it sold for $75. And then the next is one of my favorite sales. Did I click it? Hello. You guys can read what it says before the picture even comes up. Come on, internet. Okay, this is a vintage 1940s necktie, and it had the most charming motif of acorns. So somebody looking ahead to the fall would be all ready for this. I listed it for $40 because a lot of times my vintage ties like this are just geometric or abstract or something, but this had kind of a theme, and I thought that was exciting. And so I started at $40. I got lower offers right away, and I wanted to at least hold out for $35. And someone was kind of coming in at $30, and they even messaged saying they didn't really want to go above $30, but they were thinking about it. Anyway, I held firm, and so I don't remember if it was that person or somebody else. It took me up on my $35 counter offer and purchased the tie in just a couple days. Another Mr. Pishposh item, don't ask me, I don't know, new hook, pneumatic nailer, rafter hook. So, I don't know, hang up your whatever, your nailer. And so that sold for $24.99, and we do have another one. The next one is also kind of fun because it was a little bar of soap. But the maker is one that I always keep an eye out for if my internet... Come on. The suspense, people. Oh, I must have double clicked it because it's gone. Anyway, okay, it's a Crabtree and Evelyn Damask Rose. Maybe I'll pop up a screenshot right here. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so $19.99 is what that sold for, but it was listed for quite a bit of time. Okay, Weight Watchers, week 1, starter kit. Now, I want to say this was either a giveaway at a yard sale or it was like $1 at a yard sale. It just had some books, getting started. We added in, I think, the little points plus calculator because we find those fairly often. And I got a $30 offer, and I said, you know what, I'll take that because I paid $1 or it was free or something like that. So $30 seemed fair to me. Then we have, okay, we're going to see this mug a couple times. I'm showing you the back of it. You can see I already did this once, and so all my pictures are in the wrong place. Okay, so this is Canonsburg Temperama is the pattern. Such an atomic mid-century pattern. You've seen this before in my stuff. I had found 2 of these mugs. This was the damaged one, the one with the crack. So I had kept throwing prices on it just to see what people would want to pay. I ended up taking a $20 offer for this, and it had a little crack in it. So anywho, the good one that I had sold originally, I don't remember, it was either Etsy or eBay, but it was like $70, $75, $70, something like that. It was a good price. And the point of this, I'll just explain this right now, is that this is a coffee mug. It's not the cup that goes with the saucer. And I did see 2 of those the other day at the thrift store, just the cups with no saucers. And those don't sell for as much, so I just left those. But if they had had the mugs, I would have been super excited. They're a little harder to come across, I guess. And so, they actually hold a more decent amount of coffee than the little cups and saucers. Then I sold a pair of earrings, and the earrings, I'll go over here. You can see the name. It's LaRue I was just thinking I have not sold a bunch of jewelry lately because I have not been listing jewelry, and that's the way it works. So I took a $17 offer on that one, on those. Another coffee mug. We were finishing up the week with this Chaleur Master Romantics coffee mug. This one was by Renoir. So it's Chaleur does, there'll be art on the coffee mugs. Even today at the thrift store, I saw a Chaleur French press. It was in pretty rough shape. I mean, it would need cleaning or whatever, which was fine, but the thrift store had a really high price on it, so it was not worth it for me. But I always like finding the coffee mugs because they do sell, and this one sold for $18.99. Mountain Hardware quarter zip sold for, okay, so my phone went off the thing, so let me see if I can find it real quick. We did take an offer. $36 is what it sold for. And the last thing on eBay for last week was a cute little sale. This went really, this took a really long time. I thought the black poodles would sell it a lot sooner. It's just an earring holder. These used to sell faster for me, but I don't know. They're just not a thing right now. So $10, and I was ready to move on and not see it in my cabinet anymore. Okay, let's check out this Poshmark sale. If something is brass at a thrift store, I'm usually looking at it to see if it's got potential. This was a little tripod display. Now you could set maybe like a bowl, like a rose bowl vase in it, or a sphere, or an orb, like some kind of gemstone thing. And I got $25 for it. It was just on the shelf, like $2 or $3 at the thrift store. This was a Mr. Pish Posh find again while we were down in Missoula, and he just thought it was really cool with the Celtic design on it. Royal Tara, made in Ireland. And when we looked up egg cups by this brand, they were usually a 4-leaf clover or a clover pattern. So this was just a little bit more unusual. So I think we paid a couple dollars for it. It sold on Poshmark for $20. Simply, now this is one of those brands I was talking about in a video, and then it's like I talked about it and my sales of them just stopped. So I have a black shirt that used to like sell boom, 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 and it's been listed for a while. But I found this gray one, and I still had enough faith in the brand that I wanted to try to sell it. And it still took a few months, but it sold for $30. It's a wonderful like material. It's great for travel. It's that no wrinkle kind of stuff. So $30 is pretty decent, I think. I have just a plain black shirt myself, and I wear it all the time. Here's the other Cannonsburg. So I told you about those 2 mugs that I found. Those were sold. But then I found another one at my thrift clearance store. It was crazy. This one, I listed this one, it sold for $60. It wasn't as in good a condition as that first one that sold a while back, but not bad, and no damage, no cracks or anything. So that one sold for $60. I also, on Poshmark, for $26, sold this Starbucks Colorado stainless steel tumbler. It was part of the Been There series, kind of matching the mugs of the same name. Also sold this skin softening cleanser by Cindy Crawford, Meaningful Beauty. Don't know anything about it, but it was sealed, and we sold it for $23. And then Escada. Okay, let me look at the label for you. I am more familiar with vintage Escada. That's what I've ended up selling. The Escada that's like West Germany, from the 80s. It's all very, very interesting and, kind of unusual styles. So this was my first time trying to sell something with the newer label. I wasn't sure how it would do. It was a silk blend blouse. It's kind of cool. So it sold for $28. Now over on the Depop, let's see if my tabs are still working. Okay, so $10 is what I accepted as an offer for this little framed needlepoint. This was an older listing. Again, it was something that was over on Ruby Lane, if you guys remember. And then I think it was last summer, I had my son kind of help move everything off of Ruby Lane. So I was just happy somebody wanted this, and I took the offer that was given. Next up is a wallet, Vera Bradley wallet. I think it was about $13.50 is what the offer was that I took. It was a retired pattern. And I don't pick up a ton of Vera Bradley. Like I do okay with wallets and small stuff like that. And I'll still pick those up if they're cheap enough. Then what else this was another one of my recent finds, but then I got it listed pretty quickly. So I found this bag at Goodwill, and I Google Lensed through the plastic bag, and I saw that they were Polly Pocket, and so I thought, and that they were like from the 2000s. And I thought, you know what, Depop, right? And so I got it home, I pulled everything out, I pulled out the stuff that wasn't Polly Pocket, and I just threw everything in a big lot. And I got some low offers right away, but finally got a $20 offer, and I said, you know what, let's make someone happy. Let's move these along fast, which I'm always happy for. Here's a little story about Depop and these shoes. Okay, so as you guys probably know, on Depop, the offers are not binding. So people can make you an offer you can accept, and then they don't have to pay if they don't want to. And people get frustrated about that, but I'm like, that's just the way the platform works, so just go with it, right? Just don't assume it's sold if you accept an offer, But anyway, so people have tried to come up with different ways to kind of close the sale. So I have found sending a message sometimes helps. You accept the offer, you immediately send a message. Lately, I've just been doing a simple thank you, and then that sometimes works. When Depop was having free shipping, a lot of sales would actually close, probably because they'd get to the total page and see the shipping, and it's free, and so then they would finish it. But so I had been seeing other resellers kind of having fun with it, and they're either one time I was just sending out if we finish this transaction, I can ship tomorrow, just something to kind of nudge them along. And so, but some of the resellers were starting to have a little fun with it, right? So they're the audience mostly on Depop is younger, like Gen Alpha, Gen whatever, Z. And so they were trying to use Gen Alpha slang in their responses. And I'm like, all right, it's going to sound so silly coming from me. So I saw a couple that I thought were funny where they were just kind of making jokes in their reply. So the person who bought these, their username had to do with lettuce. It was lettuce juice or something like that. And so I just was I just threw it out there. I accepted her $20 offer, and then I just said something let us finish up this transaction so I can ship these out to you tomorrow. And she bought them right away. And then I get a message, and she's in all caps, I love the lettuce pun. So anyway, just have fun on Depop. It's not that serious. Anyway, I thought that was cute. Okay, so over on Etsy, the pattern shop, $16 for this men's simplicity vest and shirt sewing pattern, and we're talking 70s, just screaming 70s all over it with that butterfly collar. And then another pattern was this simplicity 1980s apron pattern, sold for $15. And then another simplicity dress pattern, also I think from the 80s, that sold for $18. And was that it for the patterns? Yes. Okay, so over on the other Etsy shop for vintage, I sold this crown trifari necklace. As you can see, I don't do much very special for my pictures. That sold for $39. It went overseas. It was kind of an unusual piece, and I still don't know what that shape is supposed to be. I'm not sure. Sold some flatware by Epic. As you can see the mark here, all I sold was 2 salad forks and a dinner spoon for $14. Epic, I think, is connected to Echo Eterna. Echo, that company, I don't remember the connection, but anyway, that's what I seem to remember. Okay, Dart Industries. Now this fits right into the cottagecore aesthetic going on right now. $35. It was from the 60s. I found a few pieces of this at the bins one day. I think I ended up with two identical, like they're facing the same direction, these gold ones, and then the other one that's facing the other direction is like has a tint to it. So I just listed them all kind of separately. And that one sold, within a couple of weeks for $35. So I thought that was pretty good. And another fun sale. I'm so glad they sold on Etsy. $45 for these Franciscan Madeira Citron Green rocks glasses. And look at that glow. Oh my goodness. They glow green. And so those, like I said, sold for $45. And those are solid glasses. Like when you pick them up, you're holding something. So it took a lot for me not to keep those. But I've been keeping a lot of vintage lately and I need to stop. Okay. And last but not least, we have two Port Merion Botanic Garden cereal bowls. $32. Also sold on Etsy. I found these at my clearance store in my bins again. There was a couple and some, like there was 3 or 4 and some were chips. So I just took the good ones and turned that into a nice sale. Okay. So hopefully this worked. And I mean, I did a little test at the beginning, so I'm sure this is working. But we're going to get it edited. We're going to get it yada, yada. And I will try to get this out to you fairly soon in the next day or so. And I hope you guys are doing great, and we will see you again soon.